Will we see a Pokemon Go Tour Sinnoh in 2024? Well, based on the previous few years, I'm going to say yes. However, what that event is going to look like is an incredibly different story. So today, I'm going to be giving some predictions for what I think we could see during the Sinnoh Tour. So without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome back, everyone! So we're in the final stretch of the Season of Adventures Abound, and that means the Winter Pokemon Go season is just around the corner. And what's really interesting about this upcoming season is that over the past 2 years, it's been tied to the massive Go Tour event at the end of February. This special event features a full generation of Pokemon and offers players the unique opportunity to literally catch them all. Now, so far we've seen Kanto, Johto, and Hoenn variants of this event, so if the pattern continues, we'll be visiting the Sinnoh region in 2024. Now, up to this point, there's been no official word if it's happening. However, there have been some leaks throughout the month that speculate what we could see. That being said though, I'm not going to be using any of these leaks in this video, as some of them seem a bit too far-fetched to be true. Instead, these are going to be my own unique predictions for the Go Tour Sinnoh, so without further ado, let's kick things off by talking about when the Sinnoh Tour could happen. Now, as I said earlier, the event usually takes place at the end of February, and that's so it coincides with the official Pokemon Day celebration. This is a day to celebrate all things Pokemon, so it only makes sense that Pokemon Go would do something as part of that. Since next year's celebration falls on Tuesday, February 27th, I think it's fair to assume that the Go Tour will happen the weekend before. Additionally, last year's Go Tour broke the cycle of a 12-hour single-day event, with the Go Tour Hoenn taking place over 2 8-hour days instead. This is also the cycle they've been using for Pokemon Go Fest over the summer, so with that in mind, I believe that a global Go Tour Sinnoh event could happen on Saturday, February 24th and Sunday, February 25th. Now, along with last year's global Go Tour Hoenn event, Niantic also introduced an in-person Go Fest event, which was held in Vegas the weekend before. Of course, we've seen leaks that say they're planning to do a live Go Tour Sinnoh event, so if that indeed happens, I'm sure it'll be the weekend of February 17th and 18th. Of course, we don't know for sure where it's going to be held next year, so be sure to comment where you think it's going to be down below. However, I'm pretty confident that these are going to be the dates for the Sinnoh Tour, so if you need to request time off, this may be the time frame that you should aim for. So now that we have the Go Tour Sinnoh dates out of the way, let's dive into what the Sinnoh Tour could actually look like. Since it will more than likely be divided into 2 days, there's a lot of options for what they could do. When it comes to the first day, I think we'll see it primarily focus on the OG Diamond and Pearl. We'll see most of the Gen 4 Pokemon appearing in the wild and in raids, a global challenge featuring a Diamond and Pearl path, special field research tasks with rare items and Pokemon, and unknown exclusively on Incense spelling out Sinnoh. Now when it comes to the second day, I think things are going to be a bit different. Obviously, it's still going to have a Sinnoh theme, however I think the second day will include some elements from Pokemon Legends Arceus. So in addition to the first day's regular Sinnoh Pokemon, I think we'll also see Pokemon from the Hisui region appearing in the wild and raids as well. This of course leads me into part of my next prediction, which is what Gen 4 raid bosses we'll see during the Sinnoh Tour. During past tours, we've seen a variety of 1, 3, and 5-star raids, as well as the introduction of primal raids for the Hoenn Tour. So for the Sinnoh Tour 1-star raids, we could see the starters Turtwig, Chimchar, and Piplup, as well as the addition of Rotom as a rare boss. As for 3-star raids, I think we could see the regionals featured here, however since last year's Go Tour didn't have any 3 stars, I think it's rather unlikely that we'll see any mid-tier raids on the first day. And finally, for 5-star raids, since this event is based on Diamond and Pearl, I'm sure we'll see the return of the Masters of Time and Space, Dialga and Palkia. Now for the second day of the Sinnoh Tour, I think it's possible that we'll see a shift in raids. In particular, I think we'll see the 1-star raids replaced with 3 stars. Why would Niantic do this? Well, if the second day is indeed themed around Legends Arceus, we'll have to see Pokemon from the Hisui region as well. Several of these Pokemon have appeared exclusively in raids over the past year and a half, so I think various raid-exclusive Hisui Pokemon will be added in 3-star raids. Now, so far we've seen raid days for Kleavor, Braviary, Avalugg, and potentially Weirdeer at the end of December, so with that in mind, I'm sure these will be the available raid bosses during the second day of the Sinnoh Tour. Of course, it's possible we could see others released in raids, though I doubt Niantic wants to put that many Pokemon in a single raid tier. But nonetheless, I'm sure we'll see Hisui in 3 stars for the second day if it does indeed have a Legends theme. Now when it comes to the second day's 5-star raids, I'm sure there's still going to be Dialga and Palkia. However, for this day, I think they're going to be appearing slightly different in raids. See, in Legends Arceus, they received Origin forms, and seeing that the second day could have a Legends theme around it, it would be most appropriate if these Legends appeared in their Origin forms as well. Now, I will note that we saw Kyogre and Groudon in their primal forms for both days of the Hoenn Tour, so it's possible we could have their Origin forms for both days as well. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now, in terms of legendary Pokemon, I said we'll see Dialga and Palkia, but what about all the other Gen 4 legendaries? I mean, we've got Heatran, Regigigas, Cresselia, the Lake Trio, and both forms of Giratina. So are they all going to appear during the Go Tour Sinnoh? Well, to be honest with you, I kinda doubt it. There's just too many legendaries to cycle through, so instead of doing them all at once, I'm sure we'll see these Pokemon in raids throughout the winter season. This is how they split up the Hoenn legendaries last year, so I'm sure we'll see this again for the Sinnoh legendaries. With that being said though, I do think it's highly likely that we'll see the Lake Trio make an appearance during this event. While these legendaries have appeared as raid bosses, they're also roaming Pokemon that can appear in the wild. Not to mention we've already seen roaming legendaries during the Johto and Hoenn tours, so with that in mind, I think there's a good chance the Lake Trio will appear the same way during the Sinnoh Tour. But moving on to my next prediction, let's talk about new shiny Pokemon. This is usually the most anticipated feature of the Go Tour, as it's here that the rest of the region's currently locked shiny forms get released. Now at the time of recording this video, the normal Sinnoh shinies we're missing include Stunky, Rotom, Chatot, Pachirisu, Carnivine, Cherrim's Flower and Sprout forms, and Chingling. Of course, this doesn't include any of the various mythical Pokemon, which we'll talk about in a bit. But regarding these shinies, I have a strong feeling that Stunky's going to be a wild spawn as well as a boosted encounter on Incense. Then for Rotom, I could see this Pokemon being an exclusive spawn on Incense, with each of its appliance forms appearing during the various rotating habitats. Then there's the 3 regional Pokemon, which as I stated earlier, have appeared during raids during the first 2 years of the tour. However, with last year's Hoenn Tour switching them over to 10km eggs, I think this is where these regionals are going to end up for this year's event. Finally, this leaves us with Chingling, which like all other baby Pokemon, usually end up in eggs for special events. But what kind of egg will it be hatching from? Well, my best guess is that we're going to see both Chingling as well as all the other baby Gen 4 Pokemon in 7km eggs. So next up, let's talk about field research tasks. These Go Tour exclusive tasks are usually slated for rare Pokemon, as during the Hoenn Tour, we could encounter ghost types including the incredibly rare Sinninja. So for the Sinnoh Tour, which Pokemon could be available on research? Well, one Pokemon that would fit the bill is the dead Pokemon, Spiritomb. This spooky specter has been incredibly rare since it debuted in 2018, with you only being able to encounter one during each Halloween event. Of course, it did have a wider release along with its shiny variant in 2020, but besides that, it's been incredibly difficult to obtain. So with the Go Tour featuring almost every Pokemon, this would be the perfect spot for this Sinnoh Spectre. Now, if this is indeed the way it appears during the event, I highly suggest shiny hunting it while you can. As I said, you can usually only encounter one of these Pokemon per year, making it one of the rarest shinies in the game. So if you still need this shiny, this is going to be the ideal time to get one. Alright, this brings me to my last Go Tour Sinnoh prediction, but before I reveal it, I want to know what you guys think will happen during the Sinnoh Tour. If you have any predictions of your own, be sure to let me know what they are down in the comments. And if you've enjoyed my predictions so far and want to see more videos like it, then consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing for more awesome Pokemon predictions. So with that out of the way, my final prediction for the Go Tour Sinnoh will be about which mythical Pokemon we'll see. This is probably the most interesting prediction on my list, since Gen 4 has 5 different mythical Pokemon. We've got Darkrai, Shaymin, Manaphy, Phione, and the god himself, Arceus. Now Darkrai will probably see through raids or a code distribution like the Regis last year. Then for Shaymin, since it's already been released, I think this will be the shiny mythical we see from the Masterwork research. Now in terms of the release for Manaphy and Phione, I'm going to say we won't see these Pokemon directly during the Sinnoh Tour. Maybe they'll be referenced in some way, shape, or form, but I think the way we'll be getting these regionals is through a seasonal special research line. This will start once the December season kicks off, and will open up new parts as the season progresses. And like I said, maybe it will have some tie-in with the Go Tour Sinnoh, but I have a feeling we'll see these Pokemon released before the tour. Now after Manaphy and Phione's release, there's just one final Sinnoh Pokemon that has to be released, and that Pokemon is Arceus. Yes, I predict that the Alpha Pokemon will finally make its debut in Pokémon Go. But just how are we going to be able to get it? Well, like I predicted how the second day will be themed around Legends Arceus, I could see a special research line that day that ends with an encounter with Arceus itself. And there's a lot of cool stuff they could do with the story of the research, but ultimately it's the Sinnoh Tour, so what better time to release the most famous Gen 4 mythical Pokemon than during this event? Now, some of the recent leaks that have come out have suggested that Arceus won't appear during the Go Tour, as well as additional leaks saying that it will come during Go Fest next summer. But here's the thing, every Go Tour event we've seen so far has found a way to incorporate every Pokemon into it. Whether they've appeared during the one-day event or some point across the season, Niantic found a way for us to catch them all across the first 3 regions. It would be a real shame if we couldn't catch every Sinnoh Pokemon next season, so I'm really hoping they release Arceus before the season is up. And that's going to wrap up my predictions for the Go Tour Sinnoh event. I really hope you enjoyed our Pokemon Go predictions, and if you have some of your own, definitely let us know. Of course, it won't be much longer until we get the details for the next Go Tour event, so we'll find out soon enough if our predictions came true. So until then, thank you all so much for watching, I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you all in the next video. Take care.